Good morning and welcome to First Off the Bikes Try 101. We're coming to you here from Busselton just before the Ironman, and we thought we'd take you through some of the transition stages. If this is your first, or if you've got an Ironman coming up, we're just going to explain how transition works. It's a little different to some of the races you may have done previously, so we'll step you through it. If you're lucky enough to make it out of the water, and let's face it, it's a long swim, one of the first things you'll notice is that the transition areas are much bigger and the distances between points are much longer. So unless you're planning on winning, I'd run slowly. The first thing you'll hit coming out of the water is the showers, and it's not a bad idea to just go a little slower under the taps here, get some water on you, get some of that salt and some of that sand off. At this point you should have your wetsuit stripped down to your waist and you should be moving on towards the bikes. Just before you hit the bike gear bags, you'll often find that some of the volunteers are here to actually help you strip the wetsuit off. And if you have a little bit of trouble getting out of your wetty, like I do, this is a fantastic thing to take use of. Basically, you come flying up to one of the volunteers, just sit down on your backside, they'll grab hold of your wetty by its arms and they will rip it clean off you. One less thing you have to do. Remember though, once they've torn it off, they'll pass it to you and you have to take it into the transition area. So the day before the race, you're required to put both your run bag and your bike bag into the transition area. You get your own little hook, you get your own little bag, one for bike, one for run. At an absolute minimum, you're going to have your helmet in that bag, you're going to have your bike shoes, your race number, I go nowhere without a nice pair of sunnies, and something to eat. And that will keep you out of trouble for getting on the bike. You can take other stuff, but anything beyond that is really just personal preference. So once you've grabbed your bike gear bag, things get a little bit more civilised than what you're used to. None of this running around and throwing stuff on. We sit down like ladies and gentlemen, we put on our helmet, we put on our shoes and our sunnies, and we take our wetsuit that we were wearing and we stuff it in our bike gear bag. And only then, once everything's done, are we ready to head out and get on the bike. So the day before the race, you put your bike in transition on its rack without any gear on it. And then the morning of the race, very early in the morning, first thing we do is come in here and pump the tyres up. If you've got any nutrition, you can put that on the bike. If you want to have a water bottle or two with whatever you need in that, you put that on the bike as well. So it's actually the morning, race morning, that you do the final prep of your bike. But when you come out of the swim, through T1, through the process that we've talked about, once you actually get to your bike, you'll have your helmet on, you'll have your sunnies on. Most of us will choose to put our shoes on in the tent rather than trying to do the flying mount because it's just a little bit easier and a few seconds saved is really neither here nor there for most of us at iron distance racing. And it's only after all of that that you finally get to the bike. Now we're going to talk a little bit later on about bike setup for Ironman. There's lots of different ways to do it, and a little bit later this afternoon when there's more competitors into transition, we'll go through and show you some of the different bike styles. But at this point in the race, you've done your swim, you've through transition 1, and all you have to do now is pick up your bike and walk, jog it out to the road, get on it and go for a nice long bike ride. So my favourite part of iron distance triathlon racing is that apart from that swim, bike and run, you really don't have to do a whole lot for yourself. And at the end of a very long bike ride, all that really happens as you roll in is one of these nice volunteers takes your bike for you and sets you on your way to head down to T2 to get ready for a run. So your last transition after that bike ride is getting yourself out onto the run. Now the volunteers will take your bike from you, they'll lead you through to the little plastic chair where you can sit down, get out of your bike gear and get into your run gear. At that point you'll have your second bag where your bike gear goes in this bag, the run gear comes out of it, so your sneakers, your cap, a little bit of nutrition, some pain pills if you need them, and then really you're done. There's nothing else but to go and get that 42.2 chewed off and go see your finish. It's a long day out in course and you'll find portaloos scattered all over. My advice to you is use them. You do get people that choose not to, but it's illegal and your shoes will smell really bad.